On Christmas Day, my daughter said, "Wait for me at the airport." "Mom, I'll be there soon to pick you up," but she never showed up. Please stay with me as I tell you my story. And please do not forget to support our channel by subscribing, liking, and sharing with your loved ones. Your support means the world to us. Thank you. Now, let's get back to our story. On Christmas morning, my daughter promised, "Wait at the terminal, Mama. I'll be there soon to pick you up." So I waited. For 12 hours, 36 calls later, nobody came. Instead of hugs and warmth, all I received was the kind of silence that cuts deeper than words. My own child had left me stranded because, as I would soon realize, she cared more about inheritance than her mother's presence, the plastic handles of the gift. Bags dug into my fingers as I stepped off the plane at Denver International Airport. The clock read 2:45 p.m. The terminal was alive with families reuniting, children squealing, grandparents crying, couples stealing kisses beneath makeshift holiday decorations. I stood in the middle of it, holding 6 carefully chosen packages. I'd spent weeks planning these gifts. For my daughter, Sarah, I brought a velvet box holding her grandmother's emerald necklace, a piece passed down through 3 generations of women in our family. For her husband, David, I'd found a tailored jacket from a boutique his wife once adored. For little Emma, my granddaughter, the art set she had begged for during our last video call. As I looked around, a toddler leaped into his grandfather's arms beside me, laughter ringing out. My heart clenched with anticipation, imagining that in a few minutes Emma would run toward me in the same way. I dialed Sarah's number. "Mama, hey." Her voice sounded flat, rushed. "I just got here, baby. Flight was smooth." "Oh, right, yeah, Mama. We're running a bit behind. Just wait outside, we'll be there." Her tone pricked at me. No joy, no excitement, only obligation. "Is everything okay, baby? You sound everything's fine. Just Christmas chaos. Do you know how it is?" But I didn't know. Back when my husband, Robert, was alive, we were never late for family. We circled blocks in our old Honda if it meant arriving early. "Should I grab a cab, Mama? I got to run. Just wait outside. We'll figure it out." The line went dead. I stood still, surrounded by families wrapped in embraces. A woman my age nearly crushed her grown son in her arms, tears streaming. He didn't mind. Meanwhile, I collected my suitcase and dragged my gifts to the waiting area near the automatic doors. Snow swirled outside, the flakes dancing under gray skies. The streetlights had already flicked on despite the afternoon hour. I planted myself near the exit, watching cars pull up, doors slam, and travelers rush into waiting hugs. A text buzzed through at 3:15 p.m., still running late. "Be patient. Not sorry, not, can't wait to see you. Just be patient." I stacked my gift bags around me like a fortress, the velvet box for Sarah sitting proudly on top. That necklace wasn't just jewelry. My mother wore it at her wedding. I wore it at mine. Now Sarah would inherit it as a symbol of strength, legacy, and love. But as families reunited around me, smiles beaming, I began to feel like the only person left behind in a story where everyone else knew their place. By 3:30, the weight of my excitement was changing into something else. An itch of discomfort, like wearing shoes half a size too small. The doors hissed open and shut, families spilling out to running cars, their laughter echoing against the tiled floors. I shifted my weight, the gift bags thumping against my legs. My phone screen glowed with Emma's picture from last Christmas, her missing front tooth shining in a grin. Back then, our tree overflowed with handmade ornaments Robert and I had collected over the years. Sarah's new house, from the photo she sent, had a white and silver designer tree that looked more like a store display than a family's heart. But people change, I told myself. Maybe this was her way of building new traditions. By 4 p.m., my coat wasn't enough against the drafts blowing in from the doors. I spotted a row of cushioned chairs near the tall windows and dragged everything. Over the bags sat like colorful soldiers around my feet. Burgundy for Sarah, navy for David, bright red for Emma. But the real surprise wasn't in those bags. It was in the envelopes tucked inside my purse. Each bore the seal of Mountain View Bank. Each carried weight. Sarah's envelope held a certified check for $60,000. David's was the same. The third marked education fund was for Emma and any future grandchildren. $80,000 set aside for their future, altogether nearly $200,000 in Christmas generosity. After Robert passed, selling Henderson Manufacturing, the business we built from a tiny workshop into 10 bustling locations across Colorado was the hardest decision I ever made. 30 years of sweat and sacrifice gone in a signature. The $3 million sale had given me security, but more importantly, it gave me the chance to show my family what they meant to me. I traced my fingers along Sarah's envelope. That money could lift burdens, erase debts, maybe even buy her freedom from financial stress. I pictured the way her eyes would widen when she saw the figure, like the year she was 7, and unwrapped the pink bike she'd begged Santa for. At 5 p.m., my stomach began to growl. The cafe near the West Wing called to me. I carried my fortress of bags to a corner table, ordered coffee and a turkey sandwich, and sat watching families move past. Some rushing for flights, others embracing arrivals. Meanwhile, my phone stayed silent. Not a single new message, not even a missed call by 6:30. The cafe lights dimmed as staff stacked chairs. I relocated to the main concourse, closer to the information desk, where the air was warmer. My leather shoes pinched from walking so long. My shoulders ached from hauling gifts. I checked my call log, 30 calls placed to Sarah, 4 to David, all ignored. A bitter thought crossed my mind. If they were truly delayed, why forbid me from calling a cab earlier? Why insist I wait? By 7:45, I was certain. This wasn't traffic. This wasn't holiday chaos. This was deliberate silence. And the silence carried a message louder than words. Stay where you are. You're not wanted here tonight. By 8:30 that evening, the weight of the waiting had become unbearable. My hands trembled as I dialed again. Sarah's voice, when she finally answered, was sharp. Irritated, Mama. What is it now? Now. As though I'd been pestering her all day instead of sitting quietly for nearly 9 hours. Baby, I've been waiting a long time. How much longer? Just 15 minutes maximum. And don't you dare call a taxi. Then the line went dead. 15 minutes after. 9 hours. My mind raced. Why would she forbid me from calling a cab if the delay was truly just traffic? What was she hiding? I dragged my bags to the cafeteria in Terminal B. The staff greeted me with weary smiles, and I ordered coffee and soup. The tomato broth was thin, lukewarm, but I wrapped my hands around the bowl anyway, letting the steam blur my glasses. Through the haze, my reflection stared back at me. An older woman, tired, worn down, maybe even foolish. As I sipped, memories surfaced. The $220,000 I'd poured into Sarah's education. 4 years at a private university, 2 more at grad school, plus sorority dues and study abroad in Italy. Robert and I had worked double shifts to pay those bills. I'd balance books late into the night while friends my age traveled or retired early. And what did I get in return? At her graduation, Sarah gave me 15 minutes before disappearing with friends. At her wedding, my simple toast about faith and hard work made her shift uncomfortably, as if my words embarrassed her compared to David's parents' eloquence. Every Christmas since, she opened expensive gifts with an air of expectation, as though my sacrifices were obligations, not love. The soup went cold. My phone remained silent. By 9:15, I tried again. Call after call straight to voicemail. 31 times to Sarah. For 2 David, nothing. Not a single return call. Not a single text. 35 attempts. 35 silences. No traffic jam lasts that long. No genuine emergency leaves phones untouched for hours. Less and less they weren't delayed at. All the realizations settled in like ice in my veins. Sarah and David didn't forget me. They were avoiding me. I gathered my things, my body heavy with exhaustion, but my mind sharper than it had been all day. If they wouldn't come for me, I would go to them. At the taxi stand, the dispatcher asked for the address. My voice caught as I recited it. The house I'd helped them secure with a $25,000 down payment 2 years earlier. The house I was now dreading to walk into. The driver, a kind, middle-aged man, loaded my bags into the trunk. "Family visit?" he asked. "Something like that?" As the cab pulled away, I stared out at the Christmas lights twinkling across Denver. Behind every glowing window, families gathered around trees, sharing warmth, laughter, stories normal families. Mine, it seemed, was different. The taxi rolled into Sarah's neighborhood just past 10 p.m. Each house was dressed in perfect holiday lights. Driveways filled with shiny cars. Children's shadows flickered against living room curtains as families unwrapped the last of their presents. When we turned onto Sarah's street, I spotted her home immediately. Warm golden lights spilling from the windows. Laughter carrying faintly into the night. In the driveway sat 2 cars, polished and parked, both with Colorado plates. No flat tires, no breakdowns. The driver glanced at me in the rearview mirror. "Looks like a full house. Must be a great reunion." I swallowed hard. "Something like that." I paid him, tipped too generously out of habit, and stood on the sidewalk with my bags, my breath clouding in the freezing air as I watched through the window. Sarah sat at the dining table, glass of wine in hand. David carved what remained of a roast. Emma twirled in her new Christmas dress while Sarah's in-laws clapped and laughed. They looked comfortable. They looked whole without me. My legs shook as I rang the doorbell. The wreath on the door smelled of pine, cheerful and false. Footsteps approached. When Sarah opened the door, her face shifted instantly from surprise to guilt to forced cheer. "Mama, you're here. I'm so sorry. We had car trouble on the way to get you." I stared past her at the driveway. 2 working cars gleamed under the lights. Car trouble? My voice was quiet, but it made her flinch. "Yes, and then David's phone died," and she rambled, stacking excuses like mismatched blocks. I stepped inside. The table behind her was still set, plates stained with turkey and gravy. 8 places, not 9. No chair waiting for me. David's parents rose politely when they saw me, concern creasing their brows. "We didn't know you were still at the airport," Sarah's father-in-law said warmly. "We thought your flight was delayed." Until tomorrow morning, I turned slowly to Sarah. "Tomorrow morning?" Her face drained of color. Her mother-in-law rushed forward. "You poor thing, sitting at that airport all evening on Christmas." She ushered me to the table, bustling to fetch me food, while Sarah twisted her wine glass nervously. I ate a few tasteless bites while conversation tried to stitch itself back together. But later in the hallway, voices stopped me cold. Sarah and David whispering in the kitchen, unaware I was near. "I wish she hadn't shown up tonight," David muttered. "She always embarrasses us in front of your parents with those little stories." About her old shop. Sarah laughed lightly. "Exactly. Talking like she built some empire. It's humiliating." I was hoping if we ignored her long enough, she'd give up and go home. I froze, gripping the doorframe. 13 hours at the airport, 35 unanswered calls, and here they were laughing about me like I was an inconvenience, a burden. "She's not their type," Sarah continued, her voice dripping with disdain. "All that working-class charm. It might have been fine when I was a kid, but now I need my parents-in-law to see us as sophisticated, not weighed down by her." Then David, almost casually, "Well, once the inheritance is settled, we won't have to pretend anymore." Silence. Slammed into my chest, the inheritance. They were waiting for me to die. My pulse thundered in my ears as I stepped into the kitchen doorway. Sarah nearly dropped the plate she was holding when she saw me. I heard every word I said evenly. My voice didn't rise, but the weight in it silenced the room. Mama, she stammered, her tone small now, stripped of the sharp edge it had carried on the phone earlier. 13 hours I sat at that airport. 35 calls, not one answer. And all the while, you were here eating, drinking, laughing, and planning my absence, like I was already in the ground. David looked away, guilt written across his face. It's not what you think, he muttered. Not what I think. I stepped closer. I gave you both everything. Paid for your education, Sarah. Covered your rent, your car, your bills. I helped you buy this very house. And still, you call my life's work silly stories. 12 stores built from nothing. 30 years of 16-hour days. Sacrificed vacations. Sacrificed comfort. All so you could have the life I never did. Sarah's face twisted, half defiant, half ashamed. We didn't mean, yes, you did. My voice cut through her lie. You said it plain. I embarrass you. I'm not their type. And once I'm gone, you'll finally be free of me. Her in-laws appeared in the doorway, their expressions a mix of shock and anger. Is this true? Her father-in-law demanded. You left your mother at the airport on Christmas. Sarah faltered, words crumbling. We made a mistake. We didn't think. Her mother-in-law shook her head, disappointment deep in her eyes. No, you thought. You chose cruelty. I reached into my purse and pulled out the envelopes, 3 in total. The ones I had once imagined placing in their hands with love. This, I said, holding them up, was supposed to be for you. $60,000 for you, Sarah. $60,000 for David. $80,000 for Emma's education, nearly. $200,000. The room went silent. Sarah's lips parted in disbelief, her face paling. I slipped the envelopes back into my purse. But you don't deserve it. Not anymore. Her voice cracked, desperate now. Mama, please. We were stressed. We didn't mean it. Do you know we love you? I looked her dead in the eye. Love. Love doesn't leave a mother stranded on Christmas. Love doesn't. Mock the sacrifices that built your life. Love doesn't count down the days until a parent dies. Her in-laws stood with me, their shame directed not at me, but at her. David's mother spoke softly, almost like a verdict. You've lost far more tonight than money. I straightened my shoulders, slipping my coat back on. The inheritance you've been waiting for. Gone. All of it. Every cent of the estate I plan to leave Eurovi's tomorrow. Sarah's knees buckled. Mama, no, you wouldn't. I would. I already did in my heart the moment I heard you laugh about me in this kitchen. The velvet box with the emerald necklace pressed against my ribs as I walked out the door. The snow bit into my cheeks, but it felt purer, cleaner than the air inside that house. By midnight, I was checked into a luxury hotel downtown. The crystal chandeliers above me gleamed as I booked a month-long stay. When the clerk asked, business or leisure, I answered with a steadiness I hadn't felt in years. Pure leisure. I'm starting a new chapter. From my suite, the Denver skyline, stretched wide and glittering, filled with possibilities. The envelopes sat on the desk, not as lost gifts, but as tickets to Paris, Rome, Cape Town, Havana, places I had always dreamed of, but postponed for everyone else's comfort. Now, at last, I was ready to live for me. And my daughter. She would spend her holidays remembering the night she learned the difference between family by blood and family by love. And that night, as I looked out over the city lights, I realized something. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give yourself is freedom from those who never valued you. Love should never feel like a debt. Family should never feel like a transaction. This story touched you? Let me know in the comments. Have you ever sacrificed for someone only to feel betrayed in the end? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please do not forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss the next story of betrayal, justice, and unexpected redemption. And if you felt the power of this lesson tonight. Please like this video and share it with your loved ones because someone out there needs the reminder that they are worthy of respect no matter what. Your story might be different, but your worth the same, always priceless.